Welcome to Living in the Fifth Dimension. My name is Ladan Universall, and I am extremely happy that you have honored us with your presence. So, what is the fifth dimension? What are the signs and symptoms of living in the fifth dimension? How do we know that we are in the fifth dimension, in the fourth dimension, in the third dimensions, and so on? And what happens if I am in the fifth dimension and I can see that my loved ones are still operating from the third dimension? Does this mean I have to leave them behind? So these are the questions that I continually get asked. So allow me to elaborate first of all, what is a dimension? Dimensions are different levels of our consciousness. They are different states of awareness, whether our awareness is limited or expanded. Dimensions are different realms of reality that we live in, we operate from. So, through the application of our thoughts, our words, our feelings, our actions and our reactions, we create an emotion. These emotions have a specific unique vibration which matches our level of consciousness to a specific frequency band. So the higher our state of awareness, the higher the dimension, the higher the level of our consciousness. So the level of our awareness, whether it's a limited awareness or an expanded awareness, is an indication of our beingness. And when we talk about our beingness, it's really the reality that we are in, the being in that reality that we refer to. So the level of our beingness is a representative of how we see the self and its connection to the I or the I am. Is how we see the connection, the relationship between the self and the entire existence, the universe, the world, the community. Do we see that as something way separated from us, or something that is actually part of the entire being, the universe being here? The state of our beingness is our relationship with the Almighty God. Almighty God all the way up there, or the Almighty God here. The oneness with the God self, with the I am presence. So this is relating to our perception. There are 144 dimensions within our universe. 12 major dimensions and 132 minor dimensions. These 144 dimensions carry the frequency bands of 144,000 levels of consciousness. You've heard of the 144,000 ascended masters who've come onto the earth to help raise the consciousness. So those are the frequency bands, those are the experiences that are brought forward for us to experience the entire beingness, the allness, the different facets of this allness. So today I would like to focus on the 12 major dimensions. These 12 major dimensions are what the seers and the oracles have told us about, that they are 12 planes of existence. Each of these 12 planes of existence have their own unique sound and light vibration. And these unique sound and light vibration create their own unique morphogenetic field within each of these 12 major dimensions. Now, these morphogenetic fields are made of sound and ray, which are the unique archetype of that particular dimension, that particular altered state of consciousness, the vibration that that particular dimension carries. Now, Professor Evan Reed, the author of Dust, has informed us that when sound and light frequency reach 100 Hertz, they overlap. At this point of overlapping, there is an instant stationary point. There's an instant unification. There's an instant merging. And at this point is when dimensions are created. At this point of stationary, smaller morphogenetic fields are created. Within each of these 12 major dimensions or 12 planes of existence, there are 9 levels of dimensions which are accessible to humanity. Each of these smaller dimensions or smaller morphogenetic fields carry their own frequency bands. And from the point of sound within each of these morphogenetic fields, a tone is created, and this tone is what gives birth to consciousness. So let us just review what we've just discussed. 12 major dimensions have 9 sub-dimensions within them. So in a way, there are 9 altered states of consciousness within each of these 12 planes of existence. Now, we refer to these states of consciousness as ascension cycles. We call it ascension cycles because cycles symbolize circles. And as I'm sure many of you are aware, circle is a representative of wholeness, completeness. So within these 9 sub-dimensions, there are 9 altered states of consciousness. So if we were to undo this cycle, we will see it as a band. Each of these frequency bands have a starting point and an end point, which are 2 extreme poles. This is where polarity was experienced within our 3-dimensional reality. So when we talk about the frequency band of love At one extreme point, there is absolute love, and at the other extreme point is hate. So the person who hates is because they haven't experienced love or any aspects of love as yet. So within this frequency band, this person must undergo different levels of altered state of consciousness, experiencing different levels of hate until it reaches the point, the starting point of what love is, being in love, loving something, attachment through that love, detachment of the loved ones, until this person fully becomes experienced and initiated into what absolute love is. This is when that cycle, essential cycle related to love, is fully accomplished, and the person can then move on to the next cycle of their ascension. This is what I would like to call as different levels of initiated. So once we complete one cycle, we are qualified in a way to then step into our next level of ascension cycle. So we become initiated into the next level. So through each level of initiation, we connect to the vibration of the frequency band of that, yes, level of consciousness. Now, each time we complete one cycle, this then activates certain master cells within us. And through the activation, the awakening of these master cells within us, we are able to pull in higher dimensional cosmic lights. These cosmic lights enter our physical body and our light bodies through light codes. These light codes are like geometries, and as I'm sure you're already aware, geometries carry pockets of information which really relate to the intelligence of the universe. And the intelligence through these light codes then communicates with the intelligence that's within us. So they immediately bond together and they start communicating together. The communion between the universal intelligence and the universal within us releases the dimensional locks within our energy body, which then opens the gateways so we can access the spectrum frequencies from those other dimensions. So there is an alchemical process that takes place within us. This is what we call ascension symptoms. Now, as we've already discussed, each dimension carries a light current. Now, these light currents continue to communicate within the intelligence of us, and that intelligence then lets us know that we are ready to open further and new chakras. So through opening the new chakra system, which enables us to process these cosmic light easier, an upgrade within our operating system takes place. Now, this upgrade requires us to change our diet. We can no longer receive these high dimensional frequencies and at the same time put dead matter into this vehicle, into this temple, because there will be a constant clash. So our body begins to reject dead matter, processed food which contains so much chemical, drinks which are in clash of what our body is experiencing. And what our body is experiencing is a transformation from a carbon-based density into a crystalline form density. So, what is the fifth dimension? So we already know what dimensions are, how consciousness is taking place, how our perception changes as we become initiated into the next level, next state of consciousness, next state of our ascension cycle. We begin to realize that the more expanded our awareness becomes, the more open our perspective becomes. So, in a way, fifth dimension living is about having new perspective. So, it's like us sitting on a throne and we observe what is going on, the life before us. So we see everything from every aspect. We no longer take sides. That means we no longer start to blame or judgment. Within the fifth dimension, our perception gives us this overview that there is a reason for everything. And everyone serve a purpose. So within the fifth dimension of frequency bands, there are no duality, because everything on this frequency band serves a purpose. The fifth dimension carries 5 principles. The principle of love. And that doesn't mean being in love with another or loving someone. This is understanding that the emotion of love brings an experience to every facet of creation. That means that we would have had to experience different degrees of hate in order to understand the full picture of absolute love, where there is no condition, no judgment, and no blame. The second principle is the principle of wisdom. And we're not necessarily referring to the knowledge that a person has acquired. This is something that we would have had to do on the frequency of wisdom. We would have had to acquire much knowledge. And then when we start to approach the vibration of wisdom, we start to apply those knowledge into practice. So the wisdom is that inner knowing what it feels like to hate and what it feels like to love absolutely. Having experienced the emotions that is attached to every experience. And if we don't fully accomplish that cycle, that frequency band, then we have to come back again and start from where we were left off, so that we can then continue on our ascension cycle. And that is wisdom. The third principle is the principle of will. Now, will is the fuel that fires the principle of love and the principle of wisdom. It gives us that push for our soul to continue to experience every emotions within existence, within the entire existence that takes us to absolute love and the wisdom that allows us to experience. The fourth principle is the principle of evolution. Now, evolution is love, wisdom, and will, which creates evolution, which is really the path that helps us to understand through the expression of who we truly are, to be able to create, which then takes us to the final principle of co-creation. The principle of co-creation is understanding, having experienced what it's like through working with different vibrations and the abilities that we have to co-create. And when we talk about co-create, we are also referring not just to manifest things for me, but how this manifestation also requires others to manifest. So understanding that through my vibration, through the entire unified vibration, and putting together the abilities, which we then create consciousness, awareness. So it's working in unity. This is what we refer to the unity consciousness. The unity consciousness, it's really the 5 principles of the 5th dimension. It's about uniting all humanity in love and freedom, and understanding that everything and everyone serves a purpose. And it's about uniting spirit, soul, and matter together. It's about uniting the spirit, the body, and the mind together. So you may ask, why is there so much conflict? If we understand that everything serves a purpose, well, of course, there are several reasons for that. One is that creation is experiencing and expressing itself through different emotions. We are experiencing that. 2 is that this conflict is showing those who are operating from the 5th dimension to understand the purpose of everything and everyone. 3, it could be that there's a transformation from limitation into liberation. And 4, it could be that these cosmic lights are entering the body, but the body creates this resistance. So let us now prepare for our meditation as we connect with our God self. Through this meditation, we will activate our higher heart chakra, our Christed consciousness chakra, which is about absolute love. It is here that we experience God. So join me in this meditation.